Hey, folks, we had Debbie Mitchell of Debbie Mitchell Media and Associates on the podcast today. Listen, folks, she is a legend. She is Emmy-nominated. She's been in broadcast and production for many years. She goes back all the way to the early Geraldo Rivera show, right? She is now taking that experience into the digital marketing world. She shares her experience and some tips and tricks. You're going to love it. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning to you. Bound to be another adventure in small business this week, isn't there?
Absolutely, and we're not doing it alone today. We've got ourselves an amazing entrepreneur, a professional who's been doing amazing things for many, many years. And I'd love to introduce my friend, my chamber of associate from the East Orlando Chamber of Commerce, Deborah Mitchell. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, guys. Good to be
Hey, welcome.
here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Deborah Mitchell, she's the owner of Deborah Mitchell Media and Associates, and we are so glad you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
We have some amazing women in business on, and I just like having crazy smart people, and I've been following your work for a while. So I know that you do media and such. I would love for our audience who doesn't know you already to just talk a little bit about what you do, kind of where you came from, because you've got this great production background, TV production, producer, on camera, the whole nine yards, and you have a different twist on media than the average person in this business. So
Yeah, that's true. I am a television producer. I spent my career many years in New York, working in different genres. I'm Emmy nominated, and I worked in news. I've worked in news, CBS News for the early show, which is now This Morning with Gayle King. So I was there back in the day when Bryant Gumbel was hosting, Harry Smith,
Wow.
Julie Chen, yeah. And before that, I was producing with Geraldo Rivera. I worked on his talk show for 11 years, from the launch of the show to the wrap of the show. So
really,
yes.
like Al Capone, Geraldo
Right
Rivera?
after Al Capone. Al Capone actually led to his getting the talk show. So
Wow.
I was there, right after Al Capone.
So you didn't warn me, James. She's both talented, experienced,
Listen,
and connected.
We're in the same circle, but this is my really first time digging into the background of who Deborah is.
It is impressive already.
Were you like broken nose, Geraldo Rivera?
Exactly. I was there for the nose breaking.
Oh, my.
I remember all this.
You remember what? Okay, so you're dating yourself.
I know.
I think that's going to be a whole nother podcast right there.
I had no idea.
That was a day, yes. Mhm.
And so you've been doing that for, that's a long time. So
That's a long time. So I've been in the business. I got in television before I graduated college. So it has literally been my career. And it's been great. The genres of production are very different. So being a talk show producer is different from being a news producer. They require different skills, different energy, so different storytelling. And so all is said and done, I'm a storyteller, whether it's producing stories live or on videotape. And so that's what I do. And so the transition into this space now, where I'm doing video marketing for businesses, seemed like a natural transition. And the professional pivot came in 2020 during the lockdown.
right.
It made sense. Everybody was online. We're stuck on these Zoom calls. I was sitting there, I was thinking, oh my God, this could be so much more interesting. And I had one or two people who still wanted to move around, even though we were on lockdown. And I said, let's do it online. And so we used a couple of tools that are out there to make the experience online more interactive. We could include video, photos, music, interacting with the audience, the online audience. And so that's how my company came to be.
Very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are some projects that in this new endeavor that you've been doing since you started this recent cycle of your life? What are some projects that have excited you that you've been able to share and to do?
Oh, so the client that I'm thinking of in 2020 he's an ethnobotanist, and he's the president of the Amazon Conservation League. So ethnobotanists studying plants, the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Mark Plotkin. And so he wanted to launch a podcast during the lockdown. And so that's how it came about. And so we got him online, he was a little hesitant to do it, but we got them online, and now the podcast is almost up to 1 million downloads.
Oh my, that's impressive.
It was pretty
Is
cool.
it ongoing or is it?
It's still ongoing. We're getting ready to go into the 6th season.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How long are each of your seasons?
How many episodes? We do 10 episodes.
Wow, okay.
10 episodes per season. And it's doing really well. So he talks about how to use the Amazon rainforest as far as getting to know the people of the forest, how it works, preservation of the forest. And Amazon Conservation Team has been around for 25 years. So it's a really huge nonprofit, and he heads it up, he and his wife.
Excellent. Well, I know you're doing some work for the Chamber of Commerce, but that's more of a production role, right? You're producing it?
Yeah, I'm working with them this year. Last year, I worked with them on the Business Expo, and we actually did a pre-launch for the expo where we did a live stream event where we invited Andrew, the president of the chamber, a couple of vendors, including yourself, and we talked about what to expect of the event, and we had a couple of sponsors talking about their involvement in it, and so that was great. And so this year I'm working with them in another capacity. We're going to have an inaugural awards event at the beginning of September, the Bravato Awards, and so it is where we're going to be honoring individuals who work in the chamber, who volunteer for the chamber, and individuals in the community who are voted on who deserve to receive an award. And it's, I think, 7 or 8 different categories that they're going to be able to choose from.
Excellent. Now, I'm not sure if you caught in her intro that she is Emmy-nominated.
I did catch that.
Yes. And is that for something we know of?
It's for CBS News, The Early Show. And it was the first time they've been nominated. So it was really exciting. And it's nice to be nominated. I wanted to win, but it was nice to be nominated.
Yeah,
It's always
sure.
good to be nominated.
So around 2020, you transitioned from sort of a corporate life to entrepreneurship. What was that journey like for you?
You know what? It's funny. I always had the name of my company. Even when I was working, I had a job. I always knew somewhere along the line I was going to become an entrepreneur. My mom was entrepreneurial. She owned a couple of businesses. So it definitely was in my family. So I knew that I had the name, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. So when I moved from New York to Orlando during the lockdown to care for my elderly mom, she's going to be 95 this year.
Wow.
It was pretty clear to me. I said, okay, production is shut down. I'm going to have to figure it out. So I took on being an entrepreneur. And I have to say, I was telling you this earlier, it's much different to report on being an entrepreneur than actually being in it. It's really a space that you can't even explain. And so you're constantly learning, evolving, and growing. And so I just am really amazed at the number of people who are out there doing it and being successful at it.
So what are some of the challenges that you face when you kind of launched on your own? I mean, maybe a couple wins and a couple struggles that you could share with us.
A couple of struggles. I had to figure out, I knew I had a good idea as far as video marketing because I could see before the lockdown, people really didn't embrace being online. They didn't see the value in it. They didn't think that work could be done. But once the lockdown happened, remote work is pretty big now. They realize they can make it work. So that was a nice change. I was happy to know that because when I talked to people about working online, they were more receptive to it. So moving down to Florida and trying to figure out the business landscape was the first challenge. And so that's one of the reasons I joined the chamber. Because I said, okay, I got to meet some of the business people here and just get to know them and see how they approach business, see how they think. And I spent I'd say a full year, working on getting to know the business down here. So that, I think, you have to know your audience. And so I had to learn my audience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, you especially coming into a fresh environment. You came from New York. Now you got to be in here in Florida and kind of come up with some new ideas and meet new people.
Yeah. And it's different.
Yeah.
It is different. So you got to respect the difference and try to understand it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so if you had to, let's just say I'm a young college student looking to jump into the business world, not necessarily video marketing, but just in business in general, what's a good place for them to start? What do you think would be like that 1 or 2 takeaways that you would advise them to do just from the very beginning?
I would say think about what you want to do. Think about get to know the audience. That's important. Is there an audience for what you do? What problem are you solving? That's important. Provide a service or a product that solves your audience's problem. So, and then figure out how much of it can you do on your own, and when is it time to bring someone in to help. If you can get an executive coach, someone who's done it before, a mentor, I think that would be really important. And I'd advise that, definitely. But I would say those are the first, what are those, 4 talking points, 3 points that I would say are really important. Oh, and then the budget, then the money. The money part of it. Where you're getting your money. How are you funding yourself?
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And at what point did you bring in other people? Because I know you don't do your stuff alone.
I don't. I always knew I needed an assistant because that's the first person I hired was an assistant. And because I needed to, it's a creative space I'm in, so I needed to leave room to be creative. And when you're trying to juggle all the moving parts, it's hard to still be creative. So my assistant was the first person that I hired.
Yeah. And really, sometimes, Bill talks about it. He really get the work when you have a bit, what do you call them, fits of inspiration?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so
that's the way creative people work.
Yeah.
But I can see where your assistant essentially becomes your operations person. I need a plane ticket to, like, for instance, we were going to Houston last week, and James started 6 weeks ago booking hotels, booking the flights. I was aware Tuesday he sent me a thing that Friday we're flying, and I'm like, what time? What airline's that? I just.
That's exactly right.
But that person is so important, Deborah. That operations person who will dig in on the details.
Yep, exactly. Looking at my calendar and saying, okay, whether it's the chamber, I look at what events are coming up and it's like, all right, register me, keep me and I'll look at the calendar. And so I always tell her, I said, Jess, it's my roadmap. You got to keep me on track. So so my assistant was very important. And then obviously for the live streams that we produce, my technical director, everybody's remote, which is great. So he's remote, and let's see, so the technical director and my graphics person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Very good. And so what are some of the projects that you're currently kind of working on? Can you talk about things that are secretive?
I have things in the works. There's a lot of meet and greets, and we're not at the signing stage yet, but we're going through the funnel. We're making our way through the funnel to the point where hopefully they'll be signing soon. Yes. I think I told you, maybe I didn't tell you, I have a big event, a speaking engagement in August, where it's for the Florida Public Relations Association in Tampa. And so I'm going to be I'm looking forward to meeting the folks there. We're going to be attending.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
real fun. And so when you're thinking about video in business, what are some things that small business owners should really be thinking about in terms of adding video as part of their network, digital marketing or whatever? What are some things because obviously we talk about Facebook, we've talked about, doing some sort of plate spin. Do you know what I mean when I say spin plates?
I can visualize it, but tell me what you.
So in the old days, there was these talented.
Yeah, they're circus acts, really.
Acts. Mm-hmm. And he would take a really thin stick, and he would take a plate, and he'd spin the plate on top of the stick, and he'd set the stick down while that plate's spinning, and then he'd go get another stick and he'd spin that plate, right? And then have to go back every now and then and keep that other plate spinning, and then he had to keep. And
then it's set up 2 or 3 more.
And so then we have, a bunch of plates spinning on these sticks, and you have to go back and just keep touching them every so often, keep them spinning. That's why we talk about, keep your brand plate spinning. Even though we may be so busy, right?
That's what I put on my notes from this morning. These are spinning plates.
Yeah,
that's true.
And so even though we maybe we're busy, I don't really need to market. I don't need to drum up more work. I don't need to get another referral, but the reality is you've got to keep that plate spinning.
You really do.
I ran into some people last week that they thought that there was actually one couple that was at the show in Houston we just got back from, and he was so busy for so long that he didn't. I don't need to market. I don't need to do anything. I'm so busy. I got all my crews busy. We're making lots of money. I'm doing all this on my own. Wow. And then the work started slowing down. And all of a sudden, he's like, "Crap! I need a
website.
Let me hire someone."
It was that basic,
So then he hired this poor lady, and she is trying to just get a website going and let's start doing shows. And so she's trying to basically put change the tires on a vehicle while it's moving.
Yep.
And if you can keep that brand awareness plate spinning all the time, then all you have to do is just turn the volume up and down on certain sales portals and such.
That's true.
So from your perspective, when you deal with media, do you deal with, are you working with small businesses to kind of help promote their brand as well?
I do. I include small businesses, corporate executives. I do work with authors. I work within larger companies to also, sometimes they need to reach their employees. So video marketing comes in handy there. But you made a good point about keeping the plates spinning. There are a lot of plates. And, like you said, there's operations, there's marketing, there's sales. So as far as the video part, creating video for your social media is one part of it, but I'm really big on the sizzle reel. Just like we talked, people go to your website right away. They want to see who you are. That's the first thing they're going to Google. So have a video of what you do, who you are, what you do, the service you provide, and how you can maybe solve their problem. And that video doesn't have to be very long. It shouldn't be, because you want to grab them right away. So I would say anywhere from 90 seconds to 2 minutes just to grab them. But definitely, I think having a sizzle reel, or some people call it a business card, a visual business card on your website. So I think having a website and then a video on the website.
Right. Are you a proponent of people like doing Facebook Lives and some of those live streaming things?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, because you're creating long content. So you can sit and talk. If you're streaming and you're streaming on your different platforms, you're creating long content, but you also have the ability to engage with your audience in real time. So your Facebook followers, your IG followers, your LinkedIn followers, all of them can talk to you, can have real time conversation, and you're creating the long form video. Once it's done, it'll live on, but then you can also edit it up into pieces, and you could use it for other different platforms. So I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah, I'm nervous of live streams.
Why?
Because I told you I've got to.
Yeah, there's a feeling of being exposed.
But
if I make a mistake, it's just out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But it's also you being your authentic self. And the more you do it, it's practice. You get better as you do it.
Yeah, Bill tells me that. I like it when you just talk normal.
Yeah.
Because when I'm going into some sort of video show
Yeah, it
presentation
becomes radio voice guy. And he's got a great voice.
He's got a great voice.
No, he does.
But so I try not to, but it just happens. I try to enunciate differently. I try to, and I'm trying to talk differently. And all of a sudden I just turn into this different persona. But like that last video I just showed you, the training piece we just put up, it was one piece that I was able to just kind of sit down and I was like, fine, I'm just going to talk. And I had a script I was reading, but I was able to just kind of do it.
And it was terrific because it was natural and authentic.
Yeah.
As opposed to if I'm live videoing.
And the mind is so tricky because the words get jumbled.
Oh,
and then you're,
my goodness.
No, that's,
we actually experienced that one time trying to make a video.
Yeah.
We worked at it for 2 or 3 hours, and we finally, it's like, we're just going to push pause. This is not good. It's not working.
Shake it off.
And is not going where we need it to go.
It was one of those times where like, I'm not having fun here. Let's stop. Goodbye.
And some people are born naturals. It doesn't matter to them, but it's really not natural to be able to do all of be on camera, be yourself. So give yourself some grace,
right?
And just practice. Yeah.
And that has to be a fear for some of your clients, being on camera is, they're afraid of that.
They are afraid. And what I find with most people is most people have a lot of things going on in their mind. So I spend a lot of time helping them focus. Geraldo used to say all the time, focus, focus, focus. Once you focus, then you calm down, and then you can see where you're going, and then you can think about what you want to say. But people do have a lot on their minds. And so, like I said, I spend a lot of time just saying, okay, what do you want to say? Let's take it one bite at a time. And that's the easy way to do it.
I found that, now I've been a performer pretty much most of my life. So I'm okay in front of people. I'm okay. Although I won't do karaoke. Believe it or not, I've sung in front of thousands of people.
I can tell you had an opportunity this very weekend. Yeah. Wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it. It's one of those things that last thing I want to do is sing the wrong note in front of people. when I've got I know that I can sing good, and then I don't in front of somebody, it might embarrass me, right? So it's silly. It's absolutely silly. But I had to get over myself when it came to recording myself.
Yeah.
I just had to get over the nerves and just suck it up, Buttercup. Because guess what? If I don't do it, who's going to do it, right? You have to lean into your business. And that means putting yourself out there in uncomfortable situations, getting outside of your comfort zone. Because of that, things just grow. And then the more you do it, go listen to the first podcast and see how nervous Bill and I were.
Oh my gosh.
It's we joke about, we tell our story on podcast one, but part of me is like, well, maybe you shouldn't.
It was so bad.
Listen to it.
You know what though? If you're growing, then by definition, you're constantly working outside of your comfort zone. You're constantly pushing yourself.
That is so true.
James and I have done things in the last few years in relation to our hole in the wall business here in Orlando and with franchising that I'm like, I never imagined we'd be doing this.
Yeah. But just get over it.
Yeah.
You just, if you don't, there isn't someone else.
Yeah.
There isn't a
You
team
have to
behind
do
you.
it.
There's you. And even though your effort may not be perfect, you do the best you can and you grow and you learn and keep working outside your comfort zone.
But you got other tools. So if someone just is dead set against it or doesn't want to be on camera a lot, you got other tools that you could put video in their system, in their business without necessarily being on film.
Oh,
camera.
yeah, they can do that. Like I said, there are definitely now AI tools that you can use where maybe it's just their voice that they're using, and the AI machine puts video to the voice, so to the story. So you can do that. But I find that you being on camera for your business, people like that, they want to see you. They want to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
So, work with them, do some media training.
Right. Are there some trends that are out there? Because I know years ago, the whole doodle reels the doodle videos were big. And you remember those where they just like, hey, we're going to write. And all it is literally someone just drawing. Yeah, it's silly. Are there any trends that are out there that now that you're seeing that take off? Or is it just?
Well, again, I'm going to mention the one where I said you can turn a blog post into a video. So you write it and just feed it into the AI tool, and then it creates a video. As a producer, I find that they're using images that are just kind of boring. Whereas if I'm shooting my own video, I like that much better. I mean, the video that you all have of the behind the scenes of what you do is so much better than what I think an AI tool can put out. So it's always good if you can do it yourself. But you do have an option now. So,
yeah, I am of the belief that sometimes done is better than perfect, and I've had to change my philosophy on that recently because I want it perfect, and like I don't want to launch something unless it looks at least really, really good. But sometimes it has hindered us to move forward. And I challenge Bill because Bill's really good at editing content, like scripts and like blog posts, and that doesn't belong there. It should be a comma here.
So you're a word guy and a visual, or just primarily word?
Both. Actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm horrible when it comes to. Believe it or not, I'm actually dyslexic, and I don't mildly. And so when I read things, sometimes I jumble my words. I'll write an email. If I don't proofread it, it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
So I got to proofread it.
Well, I came from a background. My mother was a school teacher. And I'm the guy, I'm reading the newspaper. The newspapers now are not edited properly because so much of it I think is done on computer.
Yeah.
And just reading the newspaper, I can find half a dozen mistakes in it every morning.
It's really sad. The same with TV, because in TV, there used to be several layers of people that saw the script before it got to air. But now I'll see in the lower thirds, I'll see names and words misspelled. I'm like, how did that get on?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's changed a lot. But the idea of being perfect, one of the things that I learned as a producer is that you've got to be nimble. You are thinking on your feet. So sometimes you just got to make a decision, and you're like, you know what? This is the way it's going to go out. Not that it's wrong, but it may not be what you originally wanted it to be, and for whatever reason, lack of time, change of something, you just have to make a quick decision. So I've learned to let the perfection go because, and only you know what's missing. The people out there don't know what you were thinking it should be.
That is such a good point. That's really good, James.
Yeah, actually, you said that. I go, yeah.
It's true. It's just you.
Yeah, it's just me. And and I'm more critical about how I look on camera, but that's how I look to other people every day. So I just
It's scary, isn't it?
I just need to get used to it.
And they accept you.
Yeah.
They see you like that every day, and they still accept you.
They still like me.
I think the same thing about myself.
They say camera has 10 pounds. I'd say it has like 40, but whatever.
We are our worst critics. So, yes, I see how that could happen.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're hole-in-the-wall drywall repair. And for years, we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall, developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Hole-in-the-Wall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
So I'm curious, Deborah, what are some of the things you're doing to help you connect with your clients or attain new clients?
Okay, so the clientele is not only local, it's not just Florida. I'm open to working with individuals. My Amazon conservation team client, he's not in Orlando. So I'm definitely getting out more here in Orlando as much as I can. I'm a little limited because I have some responsibilities. So networking, I try to go to events. I'm speaking. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to be speaking a lot more. So the event in Florida, that's going to be a nice group to reach out to and hopefully make some connections there.
The Tampa one.
The Tampa, the Florida, the Florida Public Relations Association. It's the weekend of August 4th to the 7th, and I'll be speaking on the 5th. And I'm going to get a chance to reconnect with our former anchor from the early show, Maggie Rodriguez. She's out there.
Oh, terrific.
She has a show. So her and I have been in touch. And so I'm going to be reaching out to her. So I'm reconnecting with some old contacts, letting people know what I'm doing. I have a couple of interviews coming up, articles being written. And one of the things that I was telling you earlier is that putting yourself out there on video is also a great way for a bigger media to find you. So whether it's a television show, because that's how producers find their guests. They're online. And so if they're seeing that you can handle yourself on camera, that you're providing valuable information, there's a good chance they could book you for a show. So I remind people of that. And maybe an interview in a magazine or a newspaper article. So I have a couple of interviews coming up, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So when you're trying to educate your existing clients, what are some of the challenges that you're finding?
Well, I'm going to turn this on you because people are very reluctant, and they're still trying. Yeah. So how did you respond when Tyler came to you and said, "Okay, I want to put you on video"?
I said,
you said no, right?
I said, absolutely not.
No, it's going to be a no.
No, it's a no. But trust me. Listen, go look at our videos and see how many times I'm on there versus Bill, though. So I will. I definitely have.
That's not by mistake, by the way.
Fine. If I got to do it, I better do it, and we'll do it. But no, it's not easy. Like even that's why this podcast doesn't have video very much on it. I mean, I'm now doing video intros for the YouTube side, and I don't like the way I look. It's like, but you know what? That's just how I look.
That's how you look, yeah.
If you don't like how I look, just don't watch, I guess. I don't know.
So you are an example of many of my clients. They're reluctant, so I spend time educating them, making them feel comfortable, and then hopefully getting them on camera and coming up with a marketing strategy that they can use for their business.
Right. Good luck to that, because there's some hard-headed people out there for sure. But if you can do it and look authentic, right? Like we were talking about before, I used to be really, really stiff, and now I'm not as stiff. It does add. And listener practice is okay. Just I've talked in front of a mirror. I've recorded my voice. I have the benefit of a studio, so I can sit in front of a microphone and just, nope, don't like that, delete, next. Nope, delete. But it does hone your craft. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So it's repetitions, right? That's why tennis players are always out there practicing just to get that muscle memory.
And how long we've been doing this podcast, just several months ago, Deborah, I literally had the thought, I could get better at this. There's probably strategies where you can improve what you're doing, how you're interviewing somebody, how you sound, look, and feel. Maybe I should look into getting better at this.
You're doing pretty good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. I have to look at that first interview, but right now you're doing pretty good. So yeah, be consistent. Once a week is great. That's good practice. That's great.
It felt more like a grind before, but I really do find that I'm interested because someone like you I hadn't met before, and you come in with an entire lifetime of experiences, and I go, that's new and fresh, and I'm excited. I've actually got a couple of questions for you after the podcast that I want to ask you because you said something that spurred something in me.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Well, Deborah, thank you for coming in. It's been a joy. Let our listeners know if they want to get a hold of you and tap into your experience, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can reach me at my website or email me at Deborah Mitchell Media and Associates. They can find me on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Definitely reach out on LinkedIn, and I'll write you back.
Folks, hear that? Reach out to her. She is great. She's got a wealth of information, and you definitely need someone like her in your life.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by the podcast today.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Great show. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.